Talk of the town, talk of the town, talk of the town. Take 4, 5. I don't know. We back. Here we are. um, just completed week 6 of the NFL season. This week's slate of games, it was kind of like whack to me personally. We had those 9 in the first window, those 2 in the second window, and really none of the games like really like jumped out other than the Bucks Packers on paper. Um, Go ahead, Zeke.
know what I think jumped out this week? I think those teams that pretenders and contenders really started to assert themselves this week. So I think
Absolutely,
that's where it became boring. I think every team
absolutely.
that we thought was contending made it known why they're going to be contending in December and going into January. And the teams that we were just like, oh, no preseason, no OTAs, like we're just living off of a high where defenses haven't settled in. So like this week was boring because it was just like the teams that we expected to dominate are really starting to dominate now and just starting to exert themselves.
Hmm.
So it definitely was a weird slate, but you feel me?
I think the biggest example of that was the Steelers and Browns game. Everybody
Absolutely.
Yes.
said such a big game.
Epitomized it to a T.
Steelers absolutely dominated them,
Epitomized
and
it
we
to a
see
T.
that they're going to be one of those teams that's going to be fighting for AFC chip berth. And the Browns, I just after this past week, I just don't see it anymore.
Bro, coming for that game. I thought it was a big game for the Browns. I didn't think it was a big game for the Steelers. And I think that just how that game was played kind of proved that like the Steelers came out and they just like dominated, from that first kickoff.
So I think Tomlin wanted to send a message though.
Watch
Like,
out.
and I say that because one, his defense has been terrible the past 2 years. They got hot late last year, but before they
Word.
traded for Minka, they haven't been the typical Steelers defense. So we got a Browns team coming in on a high, averaging 38 points, averaging over 200 yards a game. You know what I mean? I feel as if Tomlin really was just like, all right, let's send a message that we are back. And they did. When you could hold that team to 78 yards rushing and 3.4 yards a carry, that's crazy.
It
Like
is, but
that's
it
a
is.
crazy statistic.
But we also have to keep in mind that they don't have Chubb either. And Chubb I think personally is a top 5 back in the league, and
That's
that
true.
and that's a totally different run game when they have him and Hunt in there rather than just Hunt, because now that takes, Hunt skills as a pass catcher, so now he can't focus on that. Now he's primarily toting that rock, so
That's
that
true.
kind of limited the offense and hurt them. But I didn't think that they would look as bad as they did, though.
I think it still would have been a blowout though. And hear me out. Because I really do believe, even with Kareem Hunt, okay, so Nick Chubb's in the game. I really believe they would have just stacked the box until Baker Mayfield beat us. Because he can't. Like, he can't anyone right now. So it's like, even if they would have had Nick Chubb, I think he would have had his own little 80 to 85 yards because he's that good of a player. But I still think they wouldn't have scored any points because when you get in 3rd and 10 situations, and you constantly look off Odell Beckham to throw in the double coverage into a tight end, or you constantly look off Jarvis Landry on an outside linebacker who's a rushing outside linebacker. Like you're just not going to win that way. Which I think they need to really honestly either need to tilt the way they play the game, or they might just need to be looking for another quarterback because I don't think he's the man for the job,
Absolutely.
and he has too much talent
Absolutely
on
not.
that roster to be getting beat by 31 points to both the Ravens and the Steelers. And I
I think
think that it's starting to get to the point where they got to figure it out. If it's either going to be Bake, then you got to make it more run game based, and if it's not, then you got to figure out a quarterback that's going to fit that system. Because I don't think he's the man for the job.
I mean, me, I've clamored for them to be a heavy run first team for the past like 2 years. On Twitter, I'm yelling at, I'm like, give Chubb the ball, But now this year, I mean, Big has looked decent, at times, but then again, like their wins haven't come versus like good teams. When they faced the Ravens and Steelers, like they brought pressure at him, and like it was like Big didn't trust anything that he was seeing, and
Right.
that is a problem because Big isn't a rookie anymore. This is Big's third year,
Mm-hmm.
third year. You know, he's going into his fourth next year. You know, the Browns have to choose whether or not, you know, he's their quarterback of the future or they're going to like drop him. And when you draft somebody at that top spot, you know,
Number
like this
one at
is
that.
like yeah, like this is like a really bad place to be if you are having that question this far into his career.
especially the
But
division, and because like
absolutely.
there's no space for mistakes in that division. And you see the two losses. Do they have two losses or do they have
They
three?
do, yeah.
So
They got
both of the
to.
losses are to the
They got
best team.
two.
So it's clear that they can beat out of division teams, and they could win those kind of games. But if you can't win division games, especially with the way Baker has played in those division games, he just needs to go.
And think about that, like the Bengals have 2 years. Like I truly believe they have 2 years before they start giving Joe Burrow the protection and more weapons, and then I think they're going to be a problem. Like what Joe Burrow is showing now is just like you don't see much of that from a rookie. Like he's constantly getting sacked 6, 7 times a game, and they've been in all their games. Like he's really performing and showing you why he's a number one draft pick, and it's just sad because Baker Mayfield is the fourth best quarterback in that division, and it only like in the Bengals. They're probably going to be another top five draft pick. So which means they're probably going to get top five picks first, second, third, fourth round, which means they're probably still going to get good talent. And it's really just going to be a matter of time because they can score with the best of them. They've been doing it.
Absolutely.
So it's only going to be a matter of time before they get back to where they were, which is 10, 11 wins probably, maybe 9 average, but 10, 11 wins, and they just be consistent. And the Browns have literally all this talent on this team, and they can't get it done because of one position, and that's really bad.
A crazy hypothetical just popped in my head. What if Joe Burrow had that Browns offense? That would be ridiculous. Yards all over the place.
I think they'll be 5-1. Like I'm not even joking. I really think they'll be 5-1. Cause like he's not a shock fight. Like we look at Bake, he the moment he feels a little bit of pressure,
His eyes drop.
his eyes drop.
eyes drop.
Like his eyes drop. I seen Joe Burrow stand in the pocket and get like smacked over and over again. AJ Green 10 yards, T Higgins 30 yards, like Tyler Boyd touchdowns just by standing in the pocket. So it's like I really believe if roles were switched, they would be 5-1. Because I don't think they would have beat the Steelers anyway. I just think they just would have been 5-1.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, kind of to stay in the north. You know, we touched on the Browns, Bengals, and the Steelers. The Ravens played the Eagles this week, and even though they won, I didn't like how they looked. You know, I wasn't the slightest bit impressed with how they look. I currently don't even think that they're in that tier, you know, of top teams in the conference right now. Even though they're what 5-1 now.
5-1.
You know, their only loss has come to the Chiefs, you know, but the way that they've looked in these wins, you know, really hasn't been indicative of, you know, a team that can really compete for a Super Bowl.
With them, what bothers me is like you became one of the best teams in the NFL last year, doing what you do,
Running the football.
running the football. You cannot make Lamar Jackson throw the ball 28 to 33 times a game. That's not his skill set right now. Is he capable of it? Absolutely. But why force it if you don't have to? Like you have a three-back system plus Lamar Jackson in a line that is built to control the game, run the football, and win with the lead. And like you said though, like I don't want to say that defense is overrated, but what Carson Wentz did with Joe Job and like Jimmy was crazy. Like there's no way a team with that much talent again should be struggling the way that they are. I don't even have them tier 2. I have them tier 3. And I think they just win because of the talent they have. But I think they've been underachieving by far this season as well.
Big time. Big time. We saw how they looked versus the Chiefs, and it was kind of like they were like a regular team, you know, and I feel had they played a team other than the Eagles this week, it would have been the same deal, you know. I just think that they lucked out, you know, with the fact that the Eagles are just ravaged with injuries. Like, like honestly, it's crazy for me to like point out that a lineman is getting dogged in the midst of a game, you know, because for the most part, you know, I'm watching skill guys play. But
Right.
when I'm able to point out like, yo, like that lineman is getting killed right now, that is a problem. And that was the case the whole game,
The whole game.
and still somehow the Eagles were able to like find holes in that defense, and I mean, they have to find something fast. They got to find something quick because that North is no joke. The Steelers are the Steelers. The Browns, aren't there yet, but the Bengals can put up points.
Yes.
And the Ravens, we have seen the Ravens aren't that type of team to just put up crazy numbers of points. So I'm interested to see, what they'll do against a less talented team that can put up crazy numbers. What.
So
what would it
KJ,
look like?
what I wanted to ask you is, right? So we know the Browns, like they are who they are, right? But if the Ravens get caught sleeping that week they play them, regardless of how you feel, they can score. I don't think the Ravens are even equipped right now to beat the Steelers. So I really want to know, where do you think they will fall within this division? Because I think there's a lot of trap games left for them, and I'm just not sure if they can really pull some of those out.
I definitely think they'll finish second in the division. I've been a Steelers. I've been on the Steelers bandwagon since before the season, and I thought they were going to win the division. Baltimore, I got them finishing second. They can definitely drop a game to Cleveland because I'm pretty sure they dropped one to Cleveland last year. So
They
it's
got
definitely
dog last year.
They got dog last year by Cleveland.
For me, is they have to figure out how to move the ball through the air because they average close to 30 points a game, like almost top 5 in the league. Their rushing is almost top 5 in the league. But then their passing yards is second to last in the league, only above the Jets. And if you're a team with Super Bowl aspirations, that is not possible. Like, you can't do that. They're averaging like 160 some yards through the air per game. Like that's just not going to get the job done. Especially in that division, you got to play the Steelers twice. And then the teams you're going to see in the playoffs, you're going to see teams like the Chiefs and the Titans. That is not going to work. So I definitely think they need to figure that part of their game out and quick.
I agree, because it's like in the playoffs, right? They always say defenses like buckle up and dial down, but these offenses rave it up a notch too. And I think that's been a trend for the NFL for the past 3 years. Like, if you have a good offense going into the playoffs, you see it gets more efficient and it gets harder to stop. Like, your defense now just has to make 2 to 3 plays where you give your offense back the ball, and then they go in from there. I'm not even sure if they were to play the Bills in the playoffs, if they would beat the Bills.
I wouldn't go that far.
And here's my thing. Why though? Hear me out.
Far.
I think Josh Allen on a good day, right, will outduel Lamar just by throwing the ball. And I think the passing game of the Bills will give them a slight edge over the Ravens because they can move the ball down the field instead of east-west.
I agree with what you just said. The only problem was you said is if Josh Allen has a good day. And that is a capital I, capital F. Because Josh Allen is either really good or he's really bad.
Really bad, right? Okay.
And the reason I would have a problem with that is just based off the last 2 weeks we've seen. The Bills just played 2 AFC contenders, and they looked less than impressive. Especially in the game against the Titans. They at least looked a little better against the Chiefs, but it still didn't look like that they even belonged in that kind of game.
Yeah, and even though we don't have the Ravens in that tier, the Ravens are still a good football team.
They are. They're very good football
team. And the Bills, they play well versus the Rams, but they got bailed out crazy there. So me personally, like, I have the Bills right now at 3-3, and then in those 3 losses, they all play good teams. So I'm not sold that the Bills are on that level just yet. So that's why fair. I'm not going that far to put the Bills over the Ravens.
That's fair. I can agree to that. That's fair. Speaking of those good teams, those teams that are actually like winning those games that they should be winning, I think in the NFC East, I think it's hard, man. I think right now it's hard to get a grasp on the top 2 teams in that East because injury.
speaking unbiasedly here, I do think that the current makeup of roster, so like that's taking Dak being out, that's taking like all the
We just lost
injuries
four
for
or
the
five.
Eagles. Like honestly, taking the state of that group right now, I think that the Eagles are clearly the best, are the most talented team, the best
I
team.
give
They
you that.
have the best shot of winning. 2 to 4, you can literally, or yeah, 2 to 4, you can flip a coin and guess because like I'm not like I jumped off of Dallas's bandwagon completely from last night. Like they look terrible. They
Horrible.
didn't look like a competent football team. The Giants don't look like a competent football team. The football team don't look like a competent football team, which is why I like lumped those three teams together. But the Eagles, based off of what they did these past 2 weeks, like they weren't going to beat Pittsburgh, but they played Pitt tough.
They did.
They played Pitt really tough. They played the Ravens tough this week, and they're going to get guys back from an injury. I think Deshaun Jackson is coming back this week.
Thursday. Yep, he'll be back Thursday.
Goddard is coming back soon. Jeffrey is coming back soon. So they're going to start to get guys back, and we've seen what Carson has done with less. So now when you put better talent around him, that's just going to make that that offense better, and hopefully that'll take pressure from the defense. Hopefully.
So it's
But
funny
yeah,
you say that because it's like when you say Carson competed against the Ravens, Carson competed against the Steelers. Like I look at my team and it was like we still had no fight versus the Giants. Like we only won just because we simply had the better players. Like when I look at last night's game, there was no competitive spirit at all
zero,
whatsoever. Like
zero.
none. And I think, and I don't want to, actually I am, like, I think that's all on how good Dakota Prescott is. I think when you lose a player where you feel as if you can compete in every game, where you feel as if like no matter what it may be, like all right, he got our back. Like, and then you look at how they played last night. I think they gave up on the season. I'm gonna be honest. There's no way you should have lost 38-3 to a Cardinals team. Like maybe 24-10, maybe like a 31-17, but a 38-3, that's embarrassing, and that just shows there's no fight left. That shows the coaching staff doesn't care either. Like we played better with Jason Garrett than we did with Mike McCarthy, and that's just real facts. So I really believe that like I think they gave up. I think Zeke doesn't want to play anymore. Like you see it all in his body language. I don't know if it may be because he don't trust Andy Dalton. I don't know if it may be because he don't trust Mike McCarthy. Like the body language in that team is horrible. We have lost 4 starting all pro linemen. 4. Like
Welcome
that's
to
gonna
our
hurt
world.
like that's gonna hurt
Welcome to
anyone.
our world.
We got a $21 million defensive end with 1.5 sacks in the past 16 games. So that's counting this season and last. We got an $18 million middle linebacker who can't seem to get coverage right. We got safeties talking about some you don't play hard every play in the
Every play, yeah.
NFL.
Yeah, that was
I don't understand that. We draft Trayvon Diggs over a safety need. That hurts. Like we don't go out and try to sign Earl, which would help. May not do much, but it'll help. Like there's free agents out there that would help. You got Eric Berry that's still sitting on free agency. Like at this point, any little thing will help. Like you have Xavier Woods, you have Donovan Wilson, who has never started for us until this year, and is getting torched. Like it's bad. Cheeto Awuzie can't even stay healthy. Like at this point, I just think throw it in the bag. It's no point. They don't want to play. Team looks horrible. Like it's just bad. Too much talent, and it's just going to waste.
Okay, so now even after that rant, coming from a Dallas Cowboys fan, I only see 2 teams that can win this division, and it's either the Eagles or the Cowboys.
Eagles.
That's the only way I see it. Because
we can't beat the Eagles though. I'm gonna be honest. Like
No.
I actually do think you guys get one. The series, so it's going to come down to what you guys do on your own other like scheduled games. It's just like I think both of them are equally as bad right now, and obviously the Eagles are probably more beat up than the Cowboys. Barring that the Cowboys just lost their starting quarterback, but the Eagles are missing a lot. And the Cowboys still have a lot of weapons on offense. Like I think you can't discredit that. Like, so they could still make plays happen. And Andy Dalton has led a team to the playoffs before. So it's not like you're asking him to do something he's never done before.
Did you see that last night, KJ? Like,
Definitely.
not even to cut you off. Did you see
I
that
saw
last night? Like, the
saw
Cardinals
it
don't
come.
even have a they have a good defense. Not even a great defense. Like, they have a okay to good defense.
I saw it coming.
And he
And
looked horrible.
because leading up to the game last night, a lot of people were saying, take the Cowboys, and I'm like, if they're just struggling with that, you think Andy Dalton's gonna come in and just like be a savior? But that's the thing, it's not gonna happen right away. It's gonna take time for that to happen, but they're in the division where they have that time. Like they don't like wins. Like, I mean, obviously wins are important for this division because you win a game, you're gonna be ahead, but everybody keeps losing week in and week out. Everybody keeps losing. So if everybody else is losing and you're still in the thick of things, you still have time to figure it out. Cowboys still have time to figure it out. I think they will eventually. I don't know if they'll win the division, but it'll definitely come down between the Cowboys and Eagles.
I mean,
Did last night make the case for Dak Prescott to actually be paid? Because I think it did.
I think what last night did actually for me was start my campaign for Dak for most valuable player. That is what last night did for me. Like, that is how bad the Cowboys looked. Like, I mean, and clearly, like, Dak won't win because like he can't do anything to like help his like resume. But it's kind of like we now see how valuable Dak is, to that franchise. So I mean, I don't know what Dallas is going to do this year. Whether they're going to sign him to something long term or short term, or if they'll let him walk. But if they let him walk, they have to have something in plan right now that they have to be like 100% convinced is going to work, because rocking with Andy, like that clearly didn't work. Or so far,
And
I mean,
funny
like,
you say that, like,
so far.
If you're right, if our plan is not to sign Dak Prescott, I'd rather we just tank then. Like, I'd rather we just tank and get ready to draft a quarterback. But if our plan is to sign Dak Prescott, like sign him to a long-term deal, then that needs to be happening like today. Like, last night's performance was atrocious in every way. Like, Andy Dalton was just throwing the ball up there, and Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, and CeeDee Lamb was just making plays. Like, like it was just bad. And I really believe that we need to sign Dak long term. I'm with you. I think he is literally our franchise. I used to make the case it was Zeke, but more and more have I watched the last 2 years. Like, it's Dakota Prescott. We have won games because of Dak. Like, he has kept us 31 threes. We came back. You know what I mean? Like, he's always in a situation to make us competitive. So, and honestly, Zeke can't get the ball without a quarterback anyway. So I just think that pay Dakota Prescott, and if that's not the case, then just tank. I think we just going to go that route, because if not, then I don't think there's another quarterback where we'd be picking if we compete in the mid round where we can be like, oh yeah, plug him in and he'll play. It'll be okay. So,
I mean, something of note in this division, the Eagles' next 3 games are all versus the Giants, the football team, and the Cowboys. So, I mean, if they go 3-0 in this stretch here, I mean,
where is that game against Dallas?
I can look it up for you right now.
I think it's in Philly, if I'm not mistaken. I do think it's in Philly.
Because if that's in Philly, then I do think they go 3-0 over that stretch.
I agree. If it is in Philly, I agree.
That game is in Philly on Sunday night.
Yeah, see, it's over.
Yeah.
I'm being honest, they're gonna lose that. Philly on a Sunday night, and they allowed to have 7,500 fans. It's over, man. It's over.
Sheesh.
It's just funny because our division, 7 wins might really win our division.
6 might win it. 6-9-1.
Bro, do y'all think that this is worse than the NFC West back when the Seahawks won it at 7-9?
That West.
Yes.
Probably. I mean, that West was pretty bad, but like, I don't know.
It was competitive at least. Like, at least they was somewhat competitive.
Didn't that Seahawks team go into the playoffs and beat the Saints?
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I definitely think this piece is a little worse than that. Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of teams with good divisions, like
the Bears. The Bears are. I'm not on that bandwagon yet.
I'm not on the bandwagon, but they keeping it interesting. They're keeping it interesting up north.
The Bears win games. but they aren't winning games against really good teams.
They just beat the Bucks though.
I mean, like that's
Nick Foles beat Brady at his own game. Played bad first 3 quarters. Made 4 great throws. They win. Like he did what he had to do to get it done. I'm just
the
saying.
Bucks were down a few guys though, right? Right. I mean, so yeah. All right. So okay. All right. So we can call that a good win, sure. But what other good wins do they have?
And to be
They
fair,
beat
the point off that, like they haven't really been that convincing in their wins against
exactly.
the non-good teams.
So do you think the Packers are more convincing than them? I think the Pack got exposed.
I think the Pack just ran into like a bad week. You know, every team, you know, just has like a bad week. You
That
know,
was the perfect storm for Bucks.
yeah. I think that this was just like a bad week for them. You know, they just gotta chalk it up, move on. Personally,
Bad week because Aaron Rodgers throwing 2 interceptions is not really heard of. I definitely.
But even when he threw, I didn't like the way he played this week though. Regardless of 2 interceptions, I didn't like the way he played. Like I think with him, once he threw the second pick, he just got real like dink dunk when like the secondary is missing Anton Winfield. I don't think Jamal Dean is a shutdown corner, so of course you keep trying them. You know what I mean? Like Sean Murphy Bunting, like I think he should have kept attacking those guys. But I mean, to me, I just didn't like it. I felt like he started, like you say, dropped the eyes really quickly. Like he looked at Tay maybe a couple times, he wasn't open and tried to extend the play. Like you just at this point, like you just got to trust your offense. And I think he just had a horrible week, man. Like and I think I'm gonna start giving some credit to the Bucks defense because Levante David and Devin White are animals. Like animals. Like they took over that game on their own, and it was crazy.
You know who's like really good too that people aren't like talking about? Carlton Davis. He's good. That corner's really good.
He's from Auburn. Yeah, he played well.
Mm-hmm.
He's starting to really play well too. It's just Todd Bowles, man. The dude is a mastermind on defense. Like you couldn't have put together a better game plan than the way they did, honestly. Like I think that was a really great game plan. But it was the fact that they lost Vita Vea. They signed somebody off the Jets, plug him in, and they literally got pressured with 4. And then once they got up 14, they started blitzing the hell out of Aaron Rodgers, and that changed the game completely. Like it was horrible to watch, honestly. Devontae David was coming off the edge, untouched.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, but I like still have the Pack, you know, still as that team to beat in the North. You know, until the Bears, you know, beat them straight up, you know, the Pack are always going to be, or the Pack are going to be the favorite for me. But yeah, that's really it. Speaking of really good teams, bro, can we talk about the NFC West, like just like briefly, like just really briefly, like every team is over 500, or no, every team is 500 or better. The Niners are 3-3 right now.
The Niners in 4th place, bro. That should tell you everything you need to know.
Niners are in 4th place at 3-3 right now.
Like that's a scary 4th place team, bro. And if they get hot, like it's gonna be problems for everybody, not just the West. Like if the Niners get hot, it's gonna be problems for everybody. One, because they can play defense. Like Jared Goff scored a late touchdown, which I think was basically qualified as garbage time, if we're being realistic. Bro, they held them to 9 points throughout 3 quarters. That offense was averaging over 30 points a game. Like, so I think they're starting to hit their stride. But when that's the 4th best team in your division, that's crazy. Like, that's really crazy.
And then plus they are dealing with crazy, or the bug hit them too. You know, they're down. Bosa, Mostert, just got hurt again. They just got him back. He just got hurt again.
Yeah, Buckner. Not Buckner, Armstead. Eric Armstead might be done.
Yeah, bro. So I mean, if they can get healthy, really, if Jimmy G can get healthy, that's their key. That is their key right now. With so many injuries. They need Jimmy G to take that next step. And we just spoke yesterday on that. Jimmy G has to
Jimmy
take that
G,
next
man.
step. And although I'm not 100% certain that he can or that he will, I'm not off that Niners bandwagon just yet. Just yet.
Man, KJ, I'm gonna let you go, yeah, because I don't, you know how I feel about Jimmy G.
Well, for me in the West as a whole, I really think the Seahawks are going to win it this year. I feel like Russell Wilson on a different kind of, he's in a different kind of mode. I feel like that division is theirs. So what is going to be interesting for me is that 2 through 4, and who's going to, because one of them is definitely going to get a wild card spot. And whoever that second place team is going to get that wild card spot. Can a third team get a wild card spot? Is another question in itself. But second right now in that division, who I think will finish second is. That's tough, but I'd probably have to go Arizona. I really like how Arizona's playing right now.
Oh wow!
I mean, like it really isn't a big gap from 2 to really there isn't a big gap 1 to 4, but 2 to 4, like it's even a smaller gap. Yeah. I would probably give that edge to the Rams right now, just because the Rams have the experience. And they aren't hurt. But if the Niners were healthy, I would give that edge to the Niners. Really. So, I mean, I just think that the Rams are playing well right now. Like they're passing it well, running it well. They're playing good defense. Goff is showing me something. Like I coming into the season, I hated Jared Goff. I hated Jared Goff. I just thought that he was just like a regular quarterback, But this year, he's starting to push the ball more downfield, which is opening everything up for them. So
I think by week 10, right? I think like looking at all the records by week 10, right? I think that's going to dictate if I think all 4 of them will get in the playoff. And I think KJ brought this up the last episode where he was like, "Is it possible if all 4 of them can get to the playoff?" I think realistically speaking, I think it's possible, right? Because I don't think
probable.
I think they might get it done, man.
Bro,
to me, it depends on how the Bears shape out because the Packers are going to win.
I was about to say that.
So it all depends on how the Bears look because if that 4th team in the West can get that better record than the Bears, obviously I think that'll be it because out of all the other divisions, I can only see one team making it. Like out of the East, I only see one team.
I got the Eagles making it.
And then
I think the Bears will fall off. I got the Packers making it.
And then out the South,
I got the whole NFC. Yeah.
So it's like
because I'm not.
So you only got one team out of the South making it?
Yes.
Okay. So then that right there will be another. It's between the Bucs and the Saints, and it'll depend how that works out.
Yeah, the Bears weren't my key to them having a 4 in. The Saints or the Bucs were, because now the Bucs are starting to hit their stride. I coming in, I had the Saints, as like that team in the South, but the Bucs are about to go. So they're taking off. So now it's up to the Saints to see if the Saints can really keep pace with the 2 to 4 seeds in the West. And personally, I think that they can. But the Saints haven't really looked that great either this year. So, so it's possible that all 4 do get in. I don't think it happens though. I personally don't.
By week 10, I'll see. By week 10, I'll see. But it's just speaking of the Saints, like I don't know what it is, man. I don't. Like I really don't know what it is.
Drew Brees.
Is it really Drew? Or is it like the play calling though? Because
Sean both.
Different when he has Mike Thomas.
It's the play calling because of Drew Brees. Like the Saints have never been that team to really push the ball downfield, all crazy, but now it's like they aren't doing it at all this year.
Oh, right.
And part of that is due to Mike Thomas being hurt. So previously, the Saints could literally should just dink and dunk, down the whole field because Mike Thomas is making those catches, So it's kind of like, all right, we're going to come out and get 4 or 5 yards, each play. So what? Doesn't matter. But now when they took out Mike Thomas, the offense kind of stagnated per se. The defense isn't really that stout, so really it's just up to whether Mike Thomas can come back to be his dominant self. Because if so, the Saints are fine. But if Mike Thomas isn't his same dominant self, then the Saints have to find somebody who can stretch the field, whether that be a wideout who can get down the field or a quarterback who can push the ball down the field. But either way, the Saints have to move the ball down the field.
I think with Mike Thomas, they become more predictable too, though. And hear me out. I think because Drew's first read is always going to be Mike Thomas.
I disagree.
Okay.
I actually think Mike Thomas on the field might actually help them, just in the fact that his presence alone will garner so much attention. It might open the field up more for Drew to actually make plays. And if you don't have someone like Mike Thomas, your number one weapon, now teams can, like, who is he going to like? They don't. Yeah, exactly. So, and then now you can play up closer. You could press, I guess, and then you could like try to keep Alvin in the backfield. But it's like I think not having Mike Thomas is hurting them a lot. And when he comes back, they'll definitely be better. It'll help Drew a lot. But
how much better do you like? Because I think the Panthers are still one off them. Like I do. I just believe the Panthers are still one off them. Like I think that they're an overachieving, underrated team, if that makes sense. Like
the Panthers this year remind me a lot of the Dolphins last year.
Yeah. Like you see it happening.
But the only difference is this Panthers team has much more talent. It's just that those teams are always going to play hard, so they won't be an easy out. Like they won't ever be an easy out.
The Panthers would be like I really think that they would be a very good team. They just struggle so much in the red zone. Like I watch Panthers games, and the amount of times that they get into the red zone and don't get points, or they get
there, bro.
It's absolutely ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
I gotta give Matt Rule his credit too, though. Like I thought he was going to be a slouch. I thought he was going to get there. I'm like, man, they about to go 1-15. Like I didn't think he could pull it off, but like they are competitive. Like you go against the Panthers, and it's not going to be an easy win. Like the defense plays well for what they have, and honestly, Teddy Bridgewater is moving the ball, I think, better than what he probably was at Minnesota. Like I'm seeing him actually throw the ball downfield, which was always his downfall. Mm-hmm. But like he's throwing the ball on point to Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel. Like he's actually doing it. So I don't know if it's maybe if everyone's buying in and Matt Rule just has total control, or is it just like, the offensive coordinator, who is LSU's old offensive coordinator, is actually just putting together really good game plans and he's just executing them. So, but I think there'll be an interesting team to follow.
And like you said, don't have the best offensive player because C-Mac hasn't been playing lately.
Facts. So, and I think Mike Davis also kind of helps them, right? Because before, when Christian McCaffrey was always on the field, I think now you realize that, okay, we could take C-Mac off for about 2, 3, 4 plays because Mike Davis can also handle what he can handle. Mm-hmm. So I think him showing Mike Davis actually playing and then being productive is actually going to help them out, because Christian McCaffrey wasn't going to last touching the ball 400 times a year for the next 8 years. Mm-hmm. Like that wasn't going to be good for his health. So I think they have a good plan in place, and I think in about 2-3 years, I think we'll be, looking at the Panthers slightly differently. Not big differently, but slightly differently.
I mean, something of note in the near future, the Panthers are like one of the youngest teams in the whole league. And then if you look at that South, look at the Saints. The Saints are an old team. Look at the Bucs. The Bucs are an aging team. Look at the Falcons. The Falcons have an older quarterback, and their team isn't as old, but the Falcons aren't really good outside of Matt Ryan, Julio, and that offense.
Julio year 12, man. Like it's getting up there.
Yeah, so the Panthers could be up like real soon. Real soon.
I agree. And shout out to Miami. Brian Flores and the GM, they black. I like seeing them win.
Yeah, word. Even though they in our division.
Word up though. All right, so kind of to wrap up football here this week, we're just going to drop our top 10 quarterbacks. I'll start my top 3, certified top 3 in that order. 1 Russ, 2 Patty, 3 A-Rod.
I just agree.
4 to 9, literally it can change any, like that order can fluctuate, but how I have it right now, I have Ryan Tannehill at 4, Deshaun Watson at 5, Lamar Jackson at 6, Josh Allen at 7, Derek Carr at 8, Kyler Murray at 9, Tom Brady at 10, and Joe Burrow literally just missed my list. He just missed the list. But yeah, Russ, Patty, A-Rod, Ryan Tannehill, Deshaun Watson, Lamar, Josh Allen, Derek Carr, Kyler, Tom Brady. That's my top 10.
I like your list. That Joe Burrow, ooh, I like that. That's sneaky. That's tough.
Just like literally, he's
That's tough.
that close out.
So with me, I got, of course, Pat number 1. I think what I wanted to see was how can Pat affect the game without having to throw the ball 35 times a game, and I think he showed that yesterday. 2, I got Russ. I do think Russ is going to win the MVP. I'm just biased with Pat. 3, I actually have Ryan Tannehill. I think as of the last 3 weeks, I think you're starting to really see why he was kind of drafted in that first round. I think you see the big arm. I think you see the athleticism. I think you see the extending of the plays. 4, I got Aaron Rodgers. I just think that you just don't perform that way and then get to stay in my top 3. I don't think you can do that at all. 5, yeah, I have Dak. I know. And it's complete bias, but it's just he's still leading the league in passing, and he missed a week. So he clearly was balling out before he got hurt. 6, I think his effect on that offense and them playing ball control at times is also helping their defense. So I think that Arizona and Kyler Murray, I think they got something going on. 7, I got DC, Derek Carr. I think he's earned it. I think the Raiders look better than what I thought they would. 8, I got Jared Goff. I was not high on Jared Goff at all coming into the season, and then I started seeing him play this year, and I'm like, all right, I see the first round talent. 9, I got Josh Allen. Past 2 weeks, he just hasn't played well. And then 10, I got Tom. So I'm with you there with that. I think Tom enters the list at 10, even though I think that he's having a Peyton Manning 2015 year with the Broncos, but that's for a different day.
KJ, before we get to yours, I just got to. Did you not say Lamar Jackson in your top 10?
No, I don't have Lamar Jackson in my top 10.
Don't.
No.
All right, so.
Interesting.
All right, so at number 1, I got Russ. 2, I got Pat. 3, I got Rodgers. All right, so then at 4, I take Deshaun Watson. 5, I take Tannehill. 6, I take Derek Carr. 7, Josh Allen. 8, I got Brady. 9, I got Ryan. And 10, I do throw Joe Burrow in there.
Ooh.
Wait, TS, did you put Lamar on your list?
I got Lamar at 6, but that wasn't really confident putting him there. I mean, really the sole reason why he stayed this week was because he played the Eagles, so he looked good, you know. But if he were to play, or if he were to, or similar to the Ravens, you know, it's kind of if he played like better teams, you know, he really doesn't look that good this season.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so out of everybody on this list, you know, he is the most in danger of sliding. But yeah, currently I just have him at 6 because he could still change games like that. You
That's
know,
true.
he had that big run on Sunday. You know, even though it made it a 24-6 game. You know, to kind of put it out, it was kind of when it happened. You know, it was at the end of the 3rd, and really that's when teams are kind of put out. You know, but here the Eagles kept playing, but really, you know, that score, you know, should have, you know, just killed that game. But yeah, man.
So I think the KJ's point, right? I think I'm going to from 5 down. I think I'm going to bump everybody down. So Tom is out of my top 10, and I think I am going to insert Deshaun Watson.
Oh yeah,
And
no,
I'm
You
that
didn't
glad
have him in there
I
either.
didn't have P-Watt, and I'm glad you said that. Like, from what he's working with, like
he's
Deshaun
been,
Watson is balling.
yeah,
Oh
Like
yeah,
it's
yeah, absolutely.
he looks great.
so I got to put him up there. I think they should just kick the field goal on Sunday. They probably would have won, but I think he just looks like I feel like it's more of a weight lifted off his chest. You know what I mean? Like with Bill B, he looks a little more free. Like you can see that he's just really out there balling. Like it's not really too much. Like before he looked real mechanical, and I think you really got to watch him to really understand that. Like before he looked real mechanical, here, make a play. But now he just trusting his instincts and making plays, and I love seeing that from him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, that's our top 10. Top 10 quarterbacks.
So then, if that's the end of the talk for football, I got a quick couple hypothetical basketball questions I just want to throw at y'all real quick. The first one is one that we've talked about in the chat already. If you were the Timberwolves, what would you do with the number 1 pick? Would you keep it? And if you do keep it, who would you?
Y'all can't see it, but they laughing because I just had to throw on that LBJ official Laker jersey. 2020 champ. Go ahead, KJ. My fault.
Wow. All right. Yeah. So, yeah, I asked you guys this question in our chat, but I want the viewers to be able to hear what you guys got to say. If you guys were the Timberwolves general manager, would you keep the 1 pick? And if you do, who do you take, or do you trade it? And if you do trade it, get in return?
Go for it, Zeke.
I think personally, right? I think you go get LaMelo Ball. I think you need a point guard who's actually going to make the offense go, who doesn't care about scoring 20 points a night. Because you got D'Angelo Russell and you got Cat, right? So you're going to need somebody that's going to be okay with running the offense and getting them the ball into their certain spots. I think LaMelo Ball is the only guy really that can actually do that. That would actually help them in this draft. Because he's not a dominant scorer, but he's such a gifted passer, and the way he works the game, I think that would just fit them. Where you could have D'Lo play more 2 than he would 1. You know what I mean? Where he could focus more on scoring than having to create for others, and I think that would work for them.
So now, question to that: do you think so? You don't think drafting LaMelo Ball would hurt that team a lot defensively? Having LaMelo Ball and D'Angelo Russell on the court at the same time, you don't they would struggle guarding wings.
I mean, who really plays defense now anyway? Like he just has to play enough to where you know what I mean, where it would put them in certain situations where they could win. I think he's a sneaky good defender. Like I think he steals the ball well, like his brother. You know what I mean? Like his brother's a better on-ball defender, but like LaMelo's he's good off-ball. Like he's always in passing lanes. So I don't think he would hurt them so much unless it's like full-blown on-ball one-on-one, and then of course he's gonna get killed. But I think, to me, I just really like him. I like his game. I think it translates to today's NBA, and I think that would be the good fit for them if they were to go that route.
Gotcha. TS, what you got?
I think that the Wolves are in a terrible spot right now. Like, awful spot. Like, they're in a terrible spot. What I would do, assuming that he's healthy, I would kick the tires on a trade for Vic. That's what I would do. That's assuming that he's healthy and that he'll get back to his pre-injury form. And also if he's willing to re-sign there. That's also okay. But that's like too many ifs to like even have that be my answer. So what I would do
play in Minnesota.
Say that one more time.
I said, who wants to play in Minnesota?
I mean,
if you're not winning, is it worth going to live in the cold?
I think
they have a good young coach. They got Cat, who's a top 15 talent in the league. You know, they have D'Lo, you know, who's a good player. So like they have pieces there. It's just more so finding that next piece. And quite frankly, I don't know how they do it, bro. I don't know what I would do, bro.
So another scenario, I would go with them, right? Like, so let's say you want to transition to like more of a scoring based team, which everyone in the NBA is going to. then I would draft Anthony Edwards.
The reason I wouldn't draft Anthony Edwards is because he isn't that adept on the perimeter, you know? And just like the way that this game is going, you need to shoot, you know? So that's why I wouldn't draft him one in that in that situation. I would probably draft Melo
it's the one spot.
Just because
you
it's
wouldn't
that
draft
spot.
Anthony Edwards? Okay.
Yeah. And then plus these past few years, like the Wolves have drafted wings as well, and like they aren't high on these wings, so it's not like they can trade them. So like literally, like they'll just be doubling down. So I would probably go Melo, and if they don't go Melo, I'll probably trade back to get somebody like Tyrese Halliburton. He's one of my favorite players in this draft. I saw him play last year, like live, in person. He's real. He is real. And like his game is smooth. I think it'll mesh well with D'Lo and Cat. Do they trade back? Probably not. But that's personally what I would do. I would try to find a big, to pair with Cat, so that he doesn't have to play too many minutes, guarding fives.
So but the AD kind of thing.
Yeah,
find somebody who can pair with Cat. That way they don't have to do all the banging on the body with centers. Okay, I can see that. That
is what I would do personally. I would trade back to find a serviceable, pretty good, but not setting the world on fire. But yeah, that's what I would trade back, get a big, and pair those two with Tyrese Halliburton.
So KJ, what do you do with that too if you're the Warriors? What do you do with that?
Okay, so here's how I see it. If the Warriors can make a package, like the second round pick, Draymond, Andrew Wiggins, and they can get Giannis, go get Giannis. That's
not happening. That's not happening.
That's just if.
That's when I need Adam Silver to pull off what they did to us when we were trying to get CP3 and say no. Because that's not fair. That's unbeatable.
That right there is the only position I think that the Warriors don't use a pick. If they can't get Giannis, then it's simple. You take James Wiseman, and that gives them that athletic running big that they need. They don't really have that good of a big man on their team, so I think Wiseman will help them a lot.
I like James Wiseman because he's not going to be the typical I need the ball every play center. You know what I mean? Like, and when you're running with the Warriors, like, center, you might just be happy you touched the ball 6 times playing with that team. But I think he'll be a productive 6 to 10 times on that team. One, because they have good passers. You know what I mean?
Run the floor hard.
And he'll run the floor hard. So Steph is going to reward that. Draymond's definitely going to reward that. So I think he would fit there perfectly. I mean, I don't want him there because, of course, that gives the Lakers more issues. But I think he just fits that team perfectly for what they want. Not a dominant big man, but he's a big man that is going to fit that team for what they want to do.
So going off what you just said, because I see you got your Lakers jersey on, so I got to ask you about them. You said you guys know that you're going to struggle with the Warriors. So out of these 3 names, as a Lakers fan, who do you think will help y'all the most to be able to get over that hump? Bradley Beal, Zach LaVine, Chris Paul.
Oh, Bradley Beal, easily. Like, it's easily. I think what he would, one, because now the scoring load doesn't also always have to be carried by Bron. Like, Bradley Beal is going to score, right? So we're going to see LeBron, what did LeBron average, 26 this year? That's going to drop to about 20, 23, 24 points, strictly because he's not going to have to do as much. And I think his assist numbers will go up. Bradley Beal is also a great defender, right? So what we struggle with is really defending perimeter teams, right? So when you put, and hopefully we can't keep Avery Bradley. I feel as if we would have to trade Avery Bradley to get Brad Beal. But if we could keep Avery Bradley somehow with Brad Beal, I think that secures our point guard, shooting guard, and that gives us good defense. So I like Brad Beal. I think we instantly become contenders again with Brad Beal. Like, we're contenders now, but I think it's just like, if I'm going to Vegas, I'm betting on the Lakers if we get Brad Beal. I just think his style would just fit the Lakers more. I would settle with Zach LaVine. I think Zach LaVine's an exciting like interesting move that we could make, I don't want Chris Paul at all. Like at all. There's nothing I want more than not having Chris Paul on our team. Like he doesn't. It to me, he just won't do us any justice. For all that, LeBron can still play point guard and be more effective than Chris Paul.
So getting Brad Beal sounds nice, but like, what package would the Lakers even throw to even get him? Like I don't see anything that the Lakers could put together that could possibly even like have Washington even like think about trading Bradley
I
Beal
think
to
this
the
is where
Lakers.
Rob Pelinka is going to have to go earn his money and figure that out. Like seriously, like because you're right. Like pulling that off is going to be impossible. Like, it's pretty much going to be damn near impossible. You got to give up. Honestly, you would have to give up Kuz. We already know Kuz he's going to have to go. You would have to give up Avery Bradley. Like you would have to. I think you would really have to give up at least 4 of our roster pieces, and then a first round draft pick to even them consider it. To just consider it. So I think getting Brad Beal would be impossible. I think the easier way is going after Zach LaVine. But we'll see. Like I said though, I better not see Chris Paul in a Laker jersey at all. Like I better not see it. Like I would be upset if we go after Chris Paul.
I mean, personally, Chris Paul would help y'all now, obviously, but I feel like that would be a really bad move long term. Obviously, he's old, and there would be nobody to pair with Anthony Davis. I feel like that should be the main thing if you're going to try and find another star, is to find a young one that you can pair with Anthony Davis for a long period of time, and that could be your franchise for the future.
And that's why, like, Brad, like, yeah, we had to trade first round, like 4 first round. Like we had to give that up for AD. Like you just got to. It was worth it. We won the title, so clearly that was worth it. But it's like, do we give up 3 more for Bradley Beal? That means the next 7 years we're only drafting in the second round. You know what I mean?
How old is Bradley Beal now?
Brad Beal, I think he's 26, 27. But I don't think Brad Beal that old.
I thought he was 30. So if he's only 26, then yeah, that would be perfect. Ideal. AD and Brad Beal both in their primes. I honestly
think that Bron is only going to give us 3 more years of elite level play before we look at his numbers and be like, oh, he's good now. He's not elite. Like I think we have 3 more elite level years where we could be like LeBron is a top 5 player in the NBA. I think he does get 1 more, but I think we got to also start thinking for the future. Like we really do got to start thinking of the future because I think Brown's going to deliver us 1 more ring, but now we also got to be competitive. Like I don't want another stretch where we win 3 rings, and we got to wait 10 more years to be the Lakers again. You know what I mean? Like, so this is where I need Rob Pelinka to really buckle down, go earn your money. Like, it's clear everybody in the organization trusts you. Now just go make the right moves. And don't get Chris Paul.
What if Chris Paul is bought out? Then what? You can just sign him to like a vet minimum.
Then I would just rather keep Rondo. Like if we go that route, I would.
Chris Paul could give you more scoring than Rondo, though, in a sense. I mean, he'll be another offensive threat. Like Rondo is a threat to play make, but you put Chris Paul on the floor, he's another shooter. He's another person who can attack, finish around the rim. I think CP3 and Rondo are 2 completely different players.
I do, but I would rather keep Rondo because of whenever we seen Rondo, he was always on the floor with AD, right? Rondo came in for Bron when it was time for Bron to take his break, right? So Rondo and AD have a chemistry from playing in New Orleans and now playing with LA, right? I think we're at a time right now. I don't want even the slightest negative arch of any like negativity in that locker room. I think all the guys get along well. I think the coaching staff is doing what they have to do. And even though like Chris Paul, he's a great player, I think how he may go about certain things may affect some of the Lakers players the wrong way. You know what I mean? Like, so you don't want to be in a situation where Chris Paul trying to tell you something, you're like, yo, why you talking to me? Because now y'all beefing on the practice court. So I don't want that at all. That's why I said I'd rather keep Rondo because he runs the offense just as well for us, and him and AD actually have a better connection to where Chris Paul and AD would have to work on that. Like, I like seeing the no-look lob passes to AD off the spinning back screen. You know what I mean? Like, that's something they've been doing for so long. So, I'm taking chemistry right now. I think what's best for the Lakers is chemistry. I think they're all buying into Frank Vogel's system, and I think we got to just stay that way. And shout out to Jason Kidd for not going out for these coaching jobs because I think him being on that staff, LeBron respects him and also likes his input. So,
Okay, so then now I just got one last question, mostly for TS. I just want to see where your mind is. So, if you were in Elton Brand or Doc Rivers' shoes, how
We
would you
talked
go about
about this.
reconstructing the Sixers roster? Would you get rid of one of your stars? Would you keep them both and try and build around them, or if you did get rid of one of them, which one would you keep and why?
I'm keeping both of them first and foremost. I'm keeping both Ben and JoJo first and foremost. Like they aren't going anywhere yet. Yet. My first order of business is getting rid of Al Horford. Like I don't know why they signed him at all. Like that was the worst free agent signing that I can think of. Like literally, like
I'm
off top.
Al
Like
Horford. I'm
literally,
loving it. Pay
not
me my
like
$32 million. Like
bro. From the size of the contract, the length of the contract, and just the fit with the roster, like it didn't make sense at all. So that is my first order of this. Like, so like I've seen sources say something like the Sixers will offer a first and Al Horford for Buddy to the Kings. I'm like, that's not gonna like that won't get it done. Like Al Horford's value is too low. So my first order of business is literally like just finding a team to dump him to. Like it doesn't matter what I get back, just get rid of Al Horford because getting rid of Al Horford like literally like gets rid of half the Sixers problems. The other half is what to do with Ben. What I personally would do with Ben is plug him in primarily at the four and play him out of the high post. The reason why I would do that is because he's a great passer, he's a great cutter, and he can get to the rim, you know. And even playing him out the high post, like it isn't like you like need him to shoot threes. Like literally, just hit a jumper from the elbow, like that's all his game needs right now. If they're going to play him out the high post, the problem is once they play him from the point, teams kind of just sag off and they pack the paint, which clogs everything up for JoJo. But Ben at the high post, now you have to choose whether you're going to stop Ben or stop JoJo.
mm,
You know, and then from there, if they plug Ben in at the four, then the only thing from there would just be finding a point guard and
a
shooters.
useful point guard. Right.
Yeah. So I mean, just getting rid of Al Horford would do wonders for this team, and like obviously, like there's more that needs to be done, but I think that this team is considerably better just without Al Horford's presence.
So I think what me and KJ talked about, which I think no one really thought about, right, was what if you do move off JoJo, right? You get a
He's
complimentary piece and you
he's
get some
too
first round
good.
tickets.
JoJo is too good. He's too dominant to be moved.
That is a big fact. But the way I see it is, you have to look at whose ceiling is higher, and I personally think Ben Simmons has a higher ceiling.
Hey,
So if I think the Sixers try this for maybe another year, maybe two, but if it's not getting them any closer to an Eastern Conference Finals or Finals, you have to let one of them go. And I think it's JoJo because then you can kind of build around Ben what the Bucks did with Giannis. You can just surround him with shooters because if you spread the floor for Ben, even if people sag off of him, people aren't going to be able to help. So then he could just back down whoever is sagging off and he'll be right in the paint. People have to help. Now you just kick it to the shooters. Many options of shooters, especially if you don't have Joel Embiid, because that's a lot of cap space you're going to get rid of. So if I had to move one, it would definitely be Joel Embiid for sure.
I agree. And a crazy spot where I would like to see JoJo, which don't call me crazy, but if Joel Embiid somehow ends up on the Clippers, I would not be surprised if it came down to that.
How? This
How
isn't
many,
2K, bro. This isn't 2K.
how many years he got? Like seriously, how many years he got on his contract? Has he signed his extension? When
I think
2 years,
JoJo has about 2 or 3 left.
2 or 3.
Yeah.
So, like you said, though, let's just say theoretically, right? All right, they tried it for this year. He got 2 years left. The Sixers might just be ready to move on anyway. You know what I mean? So, like, you never know. But I would just like to see JoJo somewhere where he wouldn't have to be. I feel as if he could just I want him to go somewhere he's the man. You know what I mean? And they could surround him with talent. Like I think him and Ben together, I think they would be great, but I think it takes a certain coach to get that out of them. And I don't even know if Doc Rivers is really going to do that themselves. So I think what they're going to ultimately end up needing, Ben and Joel, is just their own team, and for their own teams to be built around them. You know what I mean? Like I feel like it's been to be way more effective if you take the Giannis route. Surround him with shooters, surround him with a stretch five supposedly, and let him work from there. And I just think that you could surround Joel Embiid with anyone not named Ben Simmons who's going to shoot the ball, realistically speaking. And I think he will do just fine. But
I want to see Joel Embiid in a situation how Orlando Dwight Howard was in. Like he needs to be in the post, and he needs to be nowhere else. You have him on a team with Ben Simmons. It's hard to have him in the post because Ben Simmons needs to be in the paint. And now you got Embiid floating around the perimeter, and that's not see him shoot too many threes. Like I hate seeing him shoot threes. It's so pointless. He's so big, so
especially if
strong.
it's not your strength, right?
He
Yeah,
can dominate anybody he wants in the paint, and that's the kind of offense I want to see him in, where he's around a bunch of guards, ball handlers, people who can shoot like Orlando was, and then you have Dwight Howard, you have Joel Embiid in the paint, dominating, back downs, rebounds, all that kind of stuff.
right. Honestly, how you feel about that though, T? Like that's your squad, so like.
I mean, so like, I mean, it's different with me because like I'm not like a crazy Sixer fan, but like I've seen them through like everything. Like I watched them faithfully during the process, and that was brutal. So like it was kind of like I want them to like like be a very good team now. And I think that the best way that can be done is with both Ben and JoJo. That isn't saying that they won't be good should they trade one, but I think that they'll really reach their peak, and I really do believe that they can win a championship with Ben and JoJo. It's really just a matter of
Ben's got to shoot.
Fitting Ben in, yeah. Like Ben has to shoot.
Coaching too, man. Like you really have to find offense that's going to work with those two being on the field. I mean, on the court at the same time.
Which is why I say use Ben as a slasher, as a cutter, as a screener. So take the ball out of his hands and keep him moving, so that the defense, always has to, keep track of where he is. So should he get lost, boom, cut, dunk right there. So I think that the Sixers need to take the ball out of his hands more, and just let him roam, but when they get in, the fast break, just give it to Ben and go,
Go.
But
right.
But that's just me, man.
That's not bad.
My thing with the NBA, right? Now going into it, the West is brutal.
Loaded.
Like it is brutal. I don't think there's an easy win in the West until you talk about the Kings. But like the West is like it's so brutal. I think the Suns are going to make a push. I think the Pelicans will get better. I think the Warriors coming back spoils everyone's parade. Like I think that absolute like that got me scared. I'm beyond it. We just won the title, and I immediately thought about, damn, Steph, Clay, and Draymond about to get a top 2 pick in the draft. And they just had all their young players play this year, so they built chemistry. You know what I mean? Jordan Poole looks good. I like the kid from Villanova.
Pascal.
Pascal. Andrew Wiggins is going to fit in that system fine because it's going to play to his strengths. Like it's not going to play to his weaknesses. It's going to play to his strengths. And then it's like when they play, they just become a challenge to anyone. They want a ring without Kevin Durant. Like so, they're gonna go right back to Warrior ball, right? So my only thing I think is, and I'm not saying that to be biased, but I think the Clippers will drop. I don't think they'll be the same. I do think Montrezl Harrell is gone. I don't know where, but I don't think they're going to re-sign him. So I just think it's a big shift that's about to happen in the West, and I just think it's brutal. Like it's brutal.
Yeah, I definitely tweeted it's going to be 13 teams that are going to be fighting for 8 spots this year. And literally the only 2 teams that aren't are going to be the Spurs, who are going to be in a rebuild. So I think that the Spurs are going to tear it down. I think that they're going to be factors in the trade market at the deadline because they have vets on contracts that are up, So I think that the Spurs are tearing it down and the Kings. But the other 13 teams, they're going to be, in a serious fight for those 8 spots.
Okay, so now that you said the Spurs, because I wasn't even thinking of them. So now I think it's 3 teams that don't compete because I don't think the Thunder will be in the mix of things.
Oh, the Thunder too. The Thunder too.
You're
Okay.
right. That's true. Yeah.
Because the Thunder are most likely going to get rid of Chris Paul.
Okay.
So they're
I agree.
going more out. And I low-key think they're going to get rid of what's the Italian? Gallinari, too.
Gallo's
He's a free agent.
Gallo's going to be gone. They're probably going to trade Steven Adams. They're trying to get Chris Paul out of there. They're just going to go young, all rebuild. So Kings, Thunder, Spurs. I could agree with that. So it's going to be 12 teams fighting for 8. It's definitely going to be interesting to see.
And there's 6 that are like probably like like locked in. Lakers, Clippers, Mavs,
Warriors,
Rockets.
I don't even know if they locked in.
Denver, locked in. Those 6 teams are locked in.
And me personally, I think Utah makes it. They're always a good regular season team.
7 teams locked in. So now that leaves 5 teams fighting for what spot?
Memphis, New Orleans, Portland is basically going to be the bubble all. It's basically going to be the bubble all over.
It's going to be the bubble, but for 82 games. Like it's going to be the bubble for 82 games. Like and what I really want to see, because I think this team is really a piece away. Like I think they really are a piece away from just competing in the playoffs. I need the Suns to just go get one piece. Like I think they have everything there. I think they finally found a coach that these guys respect. Devin Booker has took it up another notch, which is crazy because he just keeps getting better every year. But I really believe if the Suns just get a piece that complements D-Book and DeAndre Ayton, I think that they are going to be good, and I think we will see them in the playoffs. But I just don't know if they'll pull the trigger.
They already have that piece.
That's how I feel about the Hawks. I feel like
they already have that piece. So
need that one wing.
Who?
Kelly Oubre.
Oh, he didn't play in the bubble.
Kelly Oubre is about to take that lead.
In the West, though. In the West?
So that isn't me saying the Suns are going to be a playoff team, but that's me saying that Kelly Oubre is going to take his game to that next level to where the Suns are going to be able to, really compete for that spot. So like they don't have to go out and get anybody to help them compete. They have the pieces now, and they will compete.
I like that. I'm just not, and I swear I'm not talking junk or being biased. I don't know. I'm just not really sold on the Clips. Like, I swear I'm not being biased. Like, I really thought that if they were going to go after it, it was this year. You know what I mean? But now that I really believe that now you got the Warriors back, I don't think the Lakers will settle. I think now they're going to really try to do whatever they can to go get another one and then to be good for years past. I don't think no one fears them. I definitely believe Denver thinks that if they ever seen them again, they probably could get them again. To me, I don't know. Like, do they have good pieces? Yes, they have great team pieces. I just don't know if I really believe like they missed their window. Like, I think it was really this year, and then they could have went on from there. And I think that's going to hurt them because when you blow a 3-1 lead, and then they watch how you blew a 3-1 lead, and then like the world watched how you blew a 3-1 lead, no one is scared to see you now. So to me, it's just I don't know. I'm not really sold on them. I think they'll be competitive because they have who they have. You know what I mean? But I think they got to deal with a lot of locker room issues that are starting to come out on everywhere that they got to figure out too. So
definitely be interesting. Definitely.
All right, so real quick, just to wrap it up, you don't have to break down these picks or nothing. Just teams. Who is going to meet in the finals next year, and who's going to win? Just teams. That's it.
Lakers and Nets.
Lakers, Celtics. Lakers in 7.
Correct.
Lakers, Nets. For me, it depends on what moves they make. If the Lakers go into the season with the same kind of roster, I got the Nets in 6. The Lakers add more. If the Lakers add another superstar piece, I like the Lakers in 6 or 7.
Trust me. I think we're going to see a different type of LeBron. I think he goes God mode one last time in his career, regardless if we don't make a roster move. And I think he gets it done. But I think he has a God mode left, one more left. And I think it's going to have to be this year if we don't do a roster piece.
Honestly, just for the sake of being different now, honestly, just for the sake of being different, I'm going to go Warriors. I'm gonna go Warriors and Nets in the finals.
I can see that though. Like I can see that though.
And I'm
Like-
gonna go Warriors. I'm gonna go Nets in 6.
I'm gonna go Warriors in 5 if that's the case.
I'm gonna go Nets in 6. But that-
backing it up Western Conference Finals, I definitely think that Lakers and Warriors series goes 7 regardless.
okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that's going 7.
But yeah,
And I need to
that
go.
is.
Hopefully we can have fans because I'm going out to LA to watch that. I don't care what's going on. I'm going out there to watch that.
Yeah, so there you have it. Our preseason finals predictions already in. But that's it for this episode. For this week's episode, please be sure to follow us on Twitter at _talkofthetown1. And also be sure to follow our personal Twitters. Me at TStokesII_SHU.
I'm _chapter9_ on Twitter.
On Twitter, I'm at Karan Johnson 23. Instagram, I'm Karan Johnson 5. I messed that up on our last show.
But yeah, that's it for this week. I hope you guys tune in next week. Till next time, y'all be easy.
See y'all.